Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's episode, we've got a bunch of more parts to work on the 33 Ford Coupe chassis. We've got the unisteer steering box. I've got a panhard bar for the front. I've got an original set of F100 upper shock mounts I ultimately want to put onto it. Got the shocks. Got some rotors, got some discs, some calipers, that is. The calipers are going to be cleaned up. More than likely we'll start with putting the rotors and the calipers on the spindles. I should have the DOM tubing in order to make the tie rod as well, and then kind of tie up the front end. Ultimately, what I'd really like to do in this episode is get it up on the front wheels. Then we could start progressing towards the back. On Ellie's coupe, the owner brought back the passenger car door. He sandblasted the inside areas, and all he did was put a coat of black paint on the bare metal surface just to keep it from rusting and stuff. And then he took the driver's side. Last week's episode, we took out the door latch and the window crank mechanism. So he has those. He's trying to free them up and hopefully be able to use them. If not, I think he has a line on some extra parts. So that's with him. So if I can get all of this done, and then I think they're going to pick up Brenda's Roadster, which is behind the camera lady. We might shuffle a few things around too. So hopefully we'll get all of that done, but we'll hit something here on 32 and 33 Fords. Made a little progress on a 33 Ford chassis. Didn't cover it, but basically put the hubs on and the bearings, and we painted the calipers. Actually went together without any problems. Didn't have to re-drill any holes or anything funny like that that we sometimes have to do when we have the right parts. Those are on. What I'm working on right now is I'm going to start putting the panhard bar on. We've got a panhard bar kit that was supplied, came from Speedway. So the bracket right now, I've just kind of trimmed it up a little bit. Got it ready to weld on, but it is going to weld on right there. And then what I'm going to have to do is make a bracket to go on the bottom of the wishbone over there so that the bar will go across. So going to get working on that. Hopefully have that done in a few minutes. Another thing we've realized is that for the shocks, we wanted to use these F100 upper shock mounts, but they're too long. So either what we're going to do is we're going to cut and shorten them, or make another set. I'm not sure which. So I'm going to have to check with the owner, see what he wants us to do. But they're it's physically too long right now. So that's the shock that's fully extended right there. If I were to put the shock mount on there, it's about 2.5, 3 inches too long. I think sometimes what they do is they'll bend them or whatever. I suppose if we mounted it out there and bent it, but then we'd have a lot of bending moment on the bracket. So I kind of would like to mount it there and actually make it shorter, or like I said, make another set kind of like those ones that are the right size. We'll plug away at that this weekend too. The owner dropped by and he dropped off the 9-inch Ford rear end that he wants to use and the brakes. He had a set of 36 Ford wishbones for the back. He wants us to use those. What we will probably do, I don't know whether we're going to use the rear mounts onto it for the springs, or if we're going to use the ones he supplied. We supplied a set of rear spring mounts right here. So one of the two, we'll mount them on the back, and I guess over the next few days, that's what we're going to plug away at next. Got a set of rear tires to go with it as well, and we've got some raw material here to make the tie rod. So we've got some DOM tubing. So more parts to come in and more stuff to do. So I did a time lapse of me bringing the body into the working shop here. The camera lady's 32 Ford Roadster body, thinking it was going to take a lot longer than what it did, but actually it came in pretty fast. So it's now over here in the working shop. We did all the major body work to it before we put the epoxy primer onto it. Where it's at right now, we are going to scuff it. There's a bunch of small places where we've got to do a little bit of work to it. Nothing really too serious. Along the bottom here underneath the door where we've welded the panels into the sub rails, we've got to blend that in. Where we actually put the cowl vent in, although I did a pretty good job here. It looks a little worse than what it is, but we're going to put some fill in there, smooth it out. Where we smooth the firewall over, put the panel onto it. Again, we're going to smooth that out and fill in any kind of little pits or whatever. Then also when you're putting the skins on the doors, you sometimes put like little tiny ripples along the edges here. So we're going to work on that. Skim. Once we get that stuff done, then what'll happen after we address any of the issues or any imperfections, because you got to remember this car was built from seconds, so we're going to have to go over it. I remember specifically on the deck lid, there was something, they had a couple places circled. I don't know, there they are right there. You can see a little ripple there and another ripple up there. So what we're going to have to do here, we're going to scuff it. We'll put a really thin skim of body fill onto it, and we're going to block it out and get rid of anything that's on it. So this is going to be something that I'm going to be picking on throughout the next 2 or 3 weeks. Nobody really likes watching somebody putting body fill on and sanding body fill. I don't myself. I don't like watching videos on it. It's something that has to be done, something we're going to do. So what I'll be doing, I'll be picking away on this while I'm working on the 33 chassis. And I'll show you the progress as we fix each individual thing, and we'll just tack it along each episode. In the meantime, what I've done on the 33 chassis over here is I've actually got the panhard bar welded in place. We've got the one bracket welded right here to the frame. Had to trim some of it off because there was excess metal here, but we welded it all the way around. And then over here, I made a little bracket out of 125 thick wall. I just bent it and drilled a hole through it, and then we cleaned up the side of the split wishbone here, and we welded it to split wishbone. So now we've got the panhard bar in place. All that's left right now is to just kind of wire wheel up those little welds, put some touch-up paint onto it, and then we'll go on to the next thing we've got to do. Okay, we're going to take the 32 Ford pickup for a drive. Have not had it very much this year. The leaves are starting to change just a little bit, so we're going to show you a little bit in the pickup. We've had the 29 model layout, we had Brenda's Roadster out, now we're going to do it in the 32 pickup. Follow along, have a go for a ride. Go. A little bit different driving the pickup truck, just the way that you sit into it versus the 29 Model A and the Roadster. They're really squeezed this way, so and she's a little louder. Anyways, we'll just do the quick tour down the Coldstream Road, and hopefully we'll see some bright colors. it for a drive in the 32 Ford pickup. Leaves are changing a little bit, but anyway, we'll go in the next couple of days. Hopefully I'll show you some nicer leaves. Today worked on the tie rod. Now customers supplied me with some DOM steel tubing, which I typically will take that tubing, take it to a friend's place. I'll put it on a lathe, and then we drill it out with a, where the heck is it? It is a 41/64 drill. Then tap it out with the 11/16 18ths tap on each end, which will fit the standard tie rod ends and everything. So cut this a little bit long, and I had to creep in on the length. So right now I've got it to the right length. I've got it tentatively just set up for 1/8 toe in, so I know I've got enough adjustment onto it. The only thing that I'm looking at right now, the tie rod clears the split wishbones. That's not a problem. But potentially once we put the weight into it, and even after I tighten these tie rod ends down, I may not have enough clearance with the frame. So what I'm probably going to have to do, I'm going to continue with the assembly. I'm going to paint this tie rod. I'm going to talk to the owner and kind of suggest that we actually go with the deeper drop spindle arms, and then maybe go underneath the split wishbones. Now, I think that's probably how we're going to have to go, especially once we get a much heavier engine into it. So, but for now, it clears it. It's still going to be the right length of tie rod end. It's just that potentially we're going to have to change out these drop spindle arms to something that goes below the split wishbones. Now, Speedway sells them. I think Pete and Jake's does. More than likely TCI does. I mean, they all sell them. Not the first person to do this, but I think just trying to anticipate the suspension movement onto it, we're probably going to have to go underneath. But like I said, going to carry on with this, going to paint that up, get it ready, tightened up. Already painted up the panhard bar support, so we'll get that connected. We're going to carry on with the front end suspension, and then work on the upper shock mounts next. So still going to work on the upper shock mounts, but in the meantime, I thought I would just dummy on the unisteer, which is supposed to bolt on to a Vega steering box bracket, supposed to be a complete just drop-in substitute. So I thought I would put this on and see if it was all good, but right now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's not the way it really should be. And it's possible that if we put a Vega steering box on there, it would work just fine, because the pitman arm would come down and then pull across properly. So that location might be okay. The frame, the black frame as you see it, was purchased as is from somebody a while ago. The Vega steering box was already on there. The Model A cross member was there. Everything basically in black as you see it. I don't know who it was from. I don't think it was from a known or a well-known builder, which doesn't make it not okay. It just, they were putting the Vega steering box on, I guess, for their situation. But what really should happen is the unisteer should actually be further forward, and when it comes out to the pitman arm here, it should be relatively straight. I don't know if I can pull them up quickly here, but the unisteer comes with a set of instructions. I've put these in quite a few times. Ultimately, what we want is that the arm coming off of the Vega steering box or the unisteer would be kind of straight and then parallel to the tie rod. And then you noticed here it's kind of not. It's coming like this, and it's coming off on an angle. It probably would function, but not optimally. So what I'll do is I'll talk to the owner, and I think what we'll do is kind of what I've done with other cars is that I don't use like a Vega steering box bracket. I will actually cut that off. I'm going to propose to him to cut it off and then use that black bracket and actually move the steering box to the Unisteer steering box to where it should be, and actually weld that bracket directly to the frame. That's how I've done all of my other ones. So just a little twist here, but that's what happens when you're building hot rods. When I came out tonight, I decided to cut off the Vega steering box. You can see the shiny metal area there where I cut it off. There's the remnants of it here. I just cut it off and then cleaned the side of the frame. What I wanted to do was to put the Unisteer in place to where I think it should be. So just drilled a hole into the frame, and I've got a clamp there kind of simulating holding it where I want it to be. Then I also removed all of the upper springs and the springs so I could give the front end like a compressed ride height simulation. Now the one thing we're still kind of, I guess, a little bit nervous about is that we only have about 1.25 inches clearance between the tie rod end and the frame. But on the bottom side here, we've got like, this doesn't move. So we've got, I think, 1.75 inches or more here, and 1.5 inches at the back. What we're thinking is that we may actually heat up the spindle arms and drop the spindle arms, making these two arms closer to the split wishbone, and then increasing the clearance we have between these two bars and the frame. That's kind of where our thoughts are right now. Another option would be to buy the drop spindle arms, where you put the tie rod arm here below the wishbone. But what I'm thinking is with the Unisteer up there, the arm would come down at an angle and actually hit the bottom of the wishbone. In a lot of cases, people who do split wishbones, they have the steering box out on the side of the frame in the original position, and then like an arm coming off of the spindle here. So you're not messing around with the cross steering so much. So we're trying to combine, the Unisteer cross steering, which is a relatively new thing. They did have cross steering in the 40s and stuff, with the split wishbone. So right now it's just a matter of a little bit of geometry and some clearance for this particular application. I was talking with the owner, and I think what we will do, I've got torches, I just don't have tanks. He's going to drop me off a set of tanks, and I think what we'll try and do is bend those steering arms and get some more clearance before we go any further with this. So I didn't get anything more done. Kind of have to leave it here right now because what we need is actually some oxyacetylene. I've got torches, I don't have tanks. The owner of this project, he's got tanks, he's dropping them off here tomorrow. But tomorrow is video day, so we've got to wrap this up for the camera lady so that she can show you what I did, and I can tell you what I didn't get done, unfortunately. So, but what I have concluded is that I do need to drop the spindle arms lower. I need a little more clearance. I reviewed what I did on the Model A. More than likely, the tie rod end is not going to touch the frame because the spring, actually, when it's fully loaded, it doesn't actually go up and down much. But since we do have the room to move those spindle arms down probably 3/4 to an inch, we're going to do that anyways. So that's what we're going to do on this. And then once I have those tanks, I'm probably going to bend these F100 F100 shock mounts too at the same time, I hope. But anyway, that's it for this week of Coldstream Rod Shop. We got the 32 pickup out for a drive, and we were working on the 33 chassis. I did manage to get the camera lady's 32 Ford Roadster body pulled over here. We're going to start doing some body work on that next week. So anyways, come on back next week, see what we're up to at Coldstream Rod Shop. Everybody take care. Please like, share, tag, subscribe, and have a great weekend.